went in on personnel, right? Okay, he's already got it.
Ready, Natasha? Good evening. Welcome to the April 7th, 2025 West Clermont School Board meeting. Mr. Romano, please take roll.
Mr. Patton,
Present.
Mr. Rudy,
Present.
Mr. Chumley,
Present.
Ms. Sanborn,
Present.
Mrs. Spencer,
Present.
all present.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up, we have the motion to adopt the agenda. Would someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Chumley. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Rudy,
Yes.
Mr. Chumley,
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn,
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Patton,
Yes.
5 yes.
Next, it looks like we have Dr. Foltz.
Good evening, everyone. We are pleased to recognize Mary Hufford and some of her 8th grade students tonight. So if everyone being recognized would please come forward. Over here. 8th grade students in Mrs. Hufford's English Language Arts class researched AI grading methods for the Ohio State test, analyzing score patterns and developing AI tools to understand how writing is evaluated. Their work sparked conversations about assessment fairness and empowered peers to navigate digital evaluation systems. They have presented their findings at district and state conferences and were invited to publish in the Ohio Journal of English Language Arts. This past week, they met with Representative Adam Byrd to advocate for changes in state writing evaluation practices. What a great example of how West Clermont Middle School makes learning come alive. So we're proud to recognize Mary Hufford, Ava Capaldo, Josh Carper, Samuel Ehas, AJ Elswick, Kendall Hines, Rory Hinkle, Will Johns, Will Lyons, Jagger Miller, Abigail Mosley, James Rapp, and Grayson Quinn.
Thanks for all your hard work. Just a small token of our appreciation. Thanks for coming back. Congratulations. Job well done.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
You did a great job, Mr. Bird. So where do you want them for? Okay, so I'll just say a few words for this group. So first, this started as a question in the language arts class from a teacher posed with the students. And so what you see here is an example of teacher not just disseminating information to students, but becoming co-learners with the students. And so that's what they've done so masterfully, is that the question was so inviting to them, so interesting, that they dug in and started researching and writing. And a lot of times you guys did things and it wasn't even homework, right? You just, because you were so into it. And the question that they asked was really about the state tests and how just a few years ago, the state test changed to machine grading instead of human grading. And so they were really questioning, okay, if schools are under so much pressure to perform on these assessments and they're writing for a machine to grade it, is that really the best kind of writing that you're going to find in life? Is that the kind of writing that matters for humans? And so they really asked a deep, deep questions about what makes the best human and what kinds of skills and abilities do we want our students to have. And so it really falls in line with what we're passionate about, which is the portrait of a graduate, ensuring that kids can communicate, they can collaborate, that they're resilient and adaptable. And I've seen you all in action. They've presented at the Ohio conference up in Columbus for English teachers. Based on their performance there, they were asked back to meet at a national conference, so they came back up. So that's a kudos to the parents and to Mrs. Hubbard, of course. from there, they've been asked to publish in a journal. So they're even more writing for like an audience that is a national, well, international audience really, with some really sophisticated writing where they have to incorporate their research. They met with Representative Byrd, as was mentioned, and you guys just did such an excellent job with him. He commented just on your professionalism and how passionate that you were. That really inspired him. And he's currently, he told us at the meeting that he would like to invite them up for a committee meeting so that they could meet other representatives. And we've also talked about connecting with the Department of Education and Workforce. And so this group really exemplifies like the kind of West Clermont student that we are trying to inspire and build here. And their communication skills are top-notch. The way they carry themselves, the way they prepare, the questions they ask, the way they work with each other. They argue with each other a little bit sometimes, but they push on each other. But you can tell it's always in the pursuit of excellence. And so I just couldn't be more proud of a group of students. And the fact that they've sustained this also speaks to the kind of work we want to have for our students. This shouldn't be about an assignment on Tuesday that you turn in on Wednesday. This is about real work in the world that makes a difference. And so I imagine that as you guys continue and go through our system, you're going to still be talking about this probably as seniors. And you're going to be looking back, seeing how you've impacted what happened in the state of Ohio. That's my wish and my dream for you. And, well, plus much more. So would any of you like to just say a word about the experience to represent the group before we get another picture of you? I know you've been taking your picture like every week these last couple of months. I put you all on the spot a lot. I know. Do we have a taker? I knew who I could look at. Okay. All right. What do you want to say?
It's been asking about the experience
Yeah.
as well. I really like what you said about how important it was that everybody knew that they were doing these things. Because it's like that it's essentially that these art days are never ever to go away. And I'm also super excited that it's a hope for you that we talked about this in the seniors that we're able to tap into like the early social messages that would have not been covered. So it's very eye-opening and it's very humbling to play.
And just spending time with them. I've had a few little pockets of time that I've gotten to spend with them. It just gives me such hope for the future. So congratulations again. I'm looking forward to seeing the article, seeing the research, getting you connected back with Representative Byrd and hopefully with the Department of Education as well. So congratulations again. Round of applause.
Thank you again. Moving on, we are the Citizens Advisory Commission video.
Yeah, and this kind of perfect that we are sharing this video tonight. Although the Citizens Advisory Commission hasn't been given a new research project since the development of the strategic plan and the study of purpose and design of schools, we wanted to highlight them tonight. This has been a key group. They were started as a group, I guess it was now 4 years ago, if I'm doing the math right. And they were a group of citizens who applied to work on your behalf and research several topics. So up to this point, they've researched the start time and what's developmentally appropriate at the middle school. They've researched safety and security and made recommendations. And then their last project was really studying purpose and design of school. And they would be so excited to hear about this 8th grade story. And I know this is one story of many in our school system. But this is exactly the kind of learning that they talked about. A lot of them, they have professional jobs. They're not all educators. And the kinds of things they talked about doing in their work are the kinds of things these students are doing in class. And so this video highlights their passion, their work over the last couple years, and just gives you a sense of voices beyond, beyond the cabinet leaders, beyond people that you normally hear in this arena, telling the West Clermont story.
West Clermont Strong. Those words say a lot about our students, our staff, and our entire school community. We've come a long way in the last decade, overcoming obstacles, showing remarkable resilience, and achieving a level of success we can all celebrate.
It's a great story of just being able to overcome obstacles. And I think this is a story that every single student at West Clermont, between the students, the staff, the community, needs to understand. It's just how far the district has come. It's really resilience against all obstacles.
Clara is more than a proud West Clermont parent. She's also making a difference on the Citizens Advisory Commission, the CAC. The CAC has been an important part of the district's community engagement efforts. This group exemplifies the real meaning of collaboration, appointed by the Board of Education to represent the various stakeholders in our school community. The CAC has devoted time and energy in an effort to look into the future and make recommendations about how we can make our students future ready. The work of the CAC is focused, deliberate, uncompensated, and often quiet. CAC members do this work because they care about the future of West Clermont and its students. They work behind the scenes during the school year. They have met at least once a month to review and discuss various data points relevant to the problem or challenge the Board of Education has asked them to address. In 2024, their focus was on the purpose and design of school.
Our mission is to research and brainstorm and propose new solutions to create a modern education system as we move forward into the job market as it develops today.
To me, the role of the CAC really just serves as a platform that includes all stakeholders in our district from all different walks of life and gives them a voice in terms of district initiatives and things that impact our most important stakeholders on a daily basis, which is our students. And, the role of education is rapidly changing with the involvement of technology and several other things. And I feel like classrooms need to keep up with that. And it's a difficult process because you have to consider many stakeholders.
Whether you were in school 10, 20, or more than 30 years ago, the school experience today is different than what you experienced. Rapid changes in technology and our society require us to think differently about how we educate students and the learning environments we put them into.
I think that when public school systems were originally designed, the world was a much different place. Most people were prepared to enter some kind of job right out of high school, whether it be a service job or a factory position, and the world just isn't the same place as it was even 50 years ago. The jobs that we have now are so much more varied, and there's so many different skill sets that could be needed for all of those various different careers. And we need to be able to respond to that so that we can prepare kids to be able to step into those roles.
I mean, even in the last 10 years of teaching, the changes that have come about in terms of using technology, using the materials that you use, the change in materials, the accessibility to information. When I was in high school, we used card catalogs. Now Google has everything at your fingertips. Or you can use AI. There's all sorts of possibilities. So it's an ever-changing world. And in my opinion, we are, as teachers, setting kids up so that they can make choices and be able to determine what's good information, what's bad information.
I think that there will be major changes to the learning environment because years ago we focused on a content-based environment, which, as we all kind of are learning now, content is more readily available. When I was younger, it was available at the library, and then it was available by doing research on the computer. Now it's available by asking, the little machine next to your desk the answer. So I think that we really are going to see schools trying to modernize themselves, not just in facilities, but they're going to try to modernize the curriculum so that students will be able to learn content on their own and then put into practice that content in a structured environment, which will teach them the durable skills that are so important in the future.
One of our district's top priorities is to make our students future ready. Ready for college, ready for technical, manufacturing, and service jobs. Ready for enlistment in the military. Ready for anything.
Employers are looking for more than just academic skills. They're looking for these durable skills: communication, fortitude, leadership, collaboration. All of these things that used to be a byproduct of academic achievement in the classroom, but that's no longer the case. These are skills that need to be explicitly taught to our students. And if our portrait of a graduate is going to be what it truly is, we have to explicitly teach these skills to make them future ready. Which ultimately, the end result is going to be a more robust portrait of a graduate that makes them future ready no matter what pathway they are on after high school, whether it's military, employment, enrollment, whatever it is that they want to do after high school.
I think with the workplace, even a generation before me, it was super common to be in a job or profession for a majority or even your entire work career. And for myself and folks that are in my generation, the changing of jobs and careers is more frequent. And as we look at statistics and research, that's changing even quicker. And so knowing the ability to be able to hold a job, be able to hold one in a career that you have passion for, that you have interest in being able to stay in that, and then also be promoted and have professional growth is important. So we need to be able to have education and training to help our students be able to step into career fields, not only that they can work for 12 months or 24 months, but the work a lifetime.
I think we're looking at a change in making it more student-centered, so that the students are the ones that are initiating and engaging in the learning. They are not being fed the information. They are looking for it, they're expanding on it, they're being able to communicate it to others for the others' benefit. And then this way we are producing creative thinkers who have resiliency and adaptivity and the ability to succeed no matter what career choice they make or what life choice they make.
It's incredibly important for students and actually everybody to have durable skills these days. In fact, they're more in demand in businesses than even expertise and technical skills were years ago. I mean, 20 years ago, the entire workforce landscape looked completely different today, and the changes are coming on exponentially. And in order to keep up, it's not so much that you need to know the technical information, it's that you need to be able to adapt, think creatively, and also critically.
We have a lot to celebrate at West Clermont, and we've come a long way. While the future can never be as clear as the past, we know we can look forward, and together we can learn, lead, and succeed. We can blaze new trails because we are West Clermont strong, and the future is ours to conquer. We are West Clermont strong. What is your WC Strong story?
I think having this video up against hearing the story of these kids tonight just punctuates what we're trying to do here in West Clermont. So first, it starts with a teacher like Mrs. Hufford, who is willing to stand alongside of her teachers, not be the sage on the stage, and take some risks. It takes a lot of courage to do what she has done, and it's not natural. It's not how we were all necessarily trained to facilitate learning. And her putting herself in that position opened up lots of doors for these kids. It's also the partnership with the parents. The parents have been along this journey every step of the way, offering suggestions, providing transportation, like all the things that parents do to encourage and get them looking professional for their visits with high officials in our government. And then it's the curriculum. Mrs. Hubbard's ability to be able to modernize that curriculum, to be able to make it more question-based, curiosity, and take the standards that she's expected to teach, but not hold on to them so tightly that they couldn't go in all these different avenues that they've gone. And so it takes a learning environment. They had computers at the ready, on their fingertips, so that they could access information, research and media center, do whatever they need to do. And all those things come together are the things that we're trying to modernize. We're trying to modernize our workforce, modernize our curriculum and programming, modernize our facilities and the learning environments that we have, and modernizing our partnerships. It's a different role parents have to play today. And I just want to shout out to all the parents that are here tonight who have been playing that role quite well. And it is opening doors for these kids. So, and thanks to the CAC again, they're fabulous.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. Next up, it is public speaking at the board meeting. Visitors who wish to address the board are asked to state their name, address, the school organization. Remarks must be addressed to the board and should be brief, approximately 3 minutes and to the point. Speakers may offer such objectives as criticism or suggestions regarding school operations or programs. The board will not hear personal complaints of the school personnel or against any person connected with the school district unless those complaints have first been addressed through individual departments or administration involved. First up, it looks like we have Ms. Tricia Lyons.
I came straight from a baseball game, so apologies for literally still watching it. JV's up 7-2. Go Wolves. And I may have asked all the parents and students to stay, and I may need just a smidge longer than 3 minutes. But I'm speaking on behalf of everyone, so is that okay? Can I take a couple extra minutes?
3 minutes, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll cut something. Okay. So I represent the dozens of 8th grade parents and students in attendance this evening when I say that Mrs. Hufford deserves to hear how much of an impact she's had on the students, our children, being recognized by the board for their incredible research and advocacy. In a world where teachers don't hear it enough, I want to thank her for all the ways in which she's gone above and beyond to create an environment for these students to develop and refine every single one of the attributes outlined in West Clermont's Portrait of a Graduate. Through their collaborative work as part of this unique student-centered project. Thanks to her educational leadership and the trust she's placed in the middle school students, they can, and then I go on to list all of the attributes, literally every single one in the Portrait of a Graduate. So I'll cut that, everybody can go to the website. When asked, other parents had this to say about Mrs. Hufford. Mrs. Hufford has empowered our children by giving them an opportunity to grow, constantly supporting and encouraging them, while also allowing them tremendous autonomy. Because of Mrs. Hufford, our children have been afforded unique and authentic experiences to demonstrate executive functioning skills that many college students and even some professionals lack. We are so grateful for the genuine level of care and interest Mrs. Hufford continues to show, not just in the subject matter of the project team's research, but also in the students themselves, witnessing them develop and thrive in the unique learning environment she has created for them. In addition to the ELA standards through this project, Mrs. Hufford has taught these students skills such as teamwork, collaboration, communication, and perseverance that will be useful to them in any college and career path they pursue in the future. She is building our children up to be successful, lifelong learners and productive adults who can help to support and change their communities for the better. Mrs. Hufford demonstrates an extremely impressive commitment to the craft of teaching. We feel so lucky that our children have had the opportunity to work with and learn from her this year. In the words of one of her students, Mrs. Hufford is such a great teacher. She uses a lot of different teaching methods to ensure we understand all the material. She's really supported our group in this project and made this opportunity possible for all of us. As Mrs. Adams said, it all started with a question, born out of student curiosity, a question about the use of artificial intelligence, technology to assess their OST essays for quality, about the logic and fairness behind it all. It would have been easy to guess at a possible answer to pacify her students and redirect back to the lesson at hand. But Mrs. Hufford challenged these young adults to keep asking questions, to perform their own research, to see where it led. She created a learning environment for them to collaborate, lean into their individual and collective strengths, problem solve, refine their research, and use their voices to report out. And boy, did they. Ultimately,
Ms. Lyons, you've unfortunately hit the 3 minutes.
I've got two more sentences, I promise.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, all right.
I apologize.
No worries. Thank you, Mrs. Hufford.
I will share with what you sent me to the board.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you so much.
I'm sorry, Ms. Lyons. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, it looks like, and I'm going to be so sorry, the last name I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, Alex Landernors. Am I close? Okay, I appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, it looks like,
Consent agenda.
yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, it looks like consent agenda. Okay, Dr. Foltz.
Okay. In front of you is the personnel agenda for April 7th, 2025. On the agenda today, we have the retirement of Christina Bernheimer, a second grade teacher at Amelia. She has been with the district for 24 years. Mary Hutchinson, the campus coordinator at West Clermont High School, who's been with the district 23 years. Cynthia Wright, paraprofessional aide at Holly Hill, who's been with the district 28 years. And then Catherine Reed, St. Veronica teacher, who was really an employee of ours, has been with the district for 34 years. So we wish them all well on their next adventure. We also have the resignations of 2 teachers at the end of the school year and 2 secretaries. This agenda also includes the proposed hiring of 1 athletic director secretary at West Clermont High School. We also have the proposed transfer of Larry Cox from interim athletic director at West Clermont Middle School to permanent athletic director at West Clermont Middle School beginning the 25-26 school year. And Jennifer Hall from paraprofessional aide at West Clermont Middle School to principal secretary at West Clermont Middle School. The agenda, we have the proposed approval for supplemental contracts for the insurance committee, evaluation review team, CCP instructors, home tutors, insurance committee, and multiple coaches. Also included in this agenda is the proposed approval for multiple unpaid leave of absences and multiple school volunteers and student teachers. And finally, in the work beyond the contract section, are the proposed approval for cooperating teachers. This concludes the review of the personnel agenda submission for your consideration.
Thank you, Dr. Foltz. Next up, Preston.
Good evening. This evening, I'm requesting approval for the overnight field trip for our West Clermont High School DECA organization. We have 5 students who have qualified to compete at the International Career Development Conference that's taking place in Orlando, Florida, at the end of the month. Great Oaks handles the cost, the associated cost of the transportation, meals, lodging, etc. for those students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 7.03 is request for approval of the minutes. Those for, that was for the meeting of March 17th, 2025. It was a regular business meeting. So the request for the consent agenda is item 7.01 through 7.03.
Thank you, Mr. Romano. You've heard the recommendation. Would someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Dr. Foltz, could you explain to me what is the CCP instructor?
Yeah, that's a College Career Plus, so that's our teachers that are teaching college level courses for our kids.
And the insurance committee is for?
It's part of the negotiated contract is that insurance committee meets periodically throughout the year and they discuss our insurance costs and what we provide and how our premiums are being used.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
5 yes.
Looks like we're on to superintendent business.
Mr. LaFata is going to share the summer projects.
Good evening. Mr. Romano and I finalized the budget for summer projects, so here's a list of several major projects that we're going to do this summer. First of all, some massive asphalt repairs at the older buildings, just to try to save those parking lots. That'll be taking place when school's out in June and July. Furniture purchases because of broken furniture or programming changes in furniture were approved by Mr. Romano, and we're going to save some serious dollars by having all of the orders delivered at one time, one place at the high school, and then our maintenance guys with the trucks will disperse the furniture to the buildings. So that'll happen in June. Again, that was an idea that maintenance and I came on with, or decided on, in order to try to cut down on the delivery charges and the assembly charges for furniture. Next is plumbing repairs. We already did several. At Clough, for example, got the water turned on from a freeze that happened in the winter. We had to close that building. There's other projects like painting and plumbing. We're going to assess all of our roofs once again and patch some. We've already had 2 major leaks, patched one, and another one's going to get done probably tomorrow as a result of the rain. And then I just want to say as an editorial to this, it's really gratifying in my experience, to be on this side of the educational spectrum, knowing that what our guys do support, in a small way, enable teachers and students to have the success that these eighth grade kids demonstrated tonight, and the principals as well. So it's a pleasure doing this job. Thanks. Any questions?
Is the furniture for the new building as well, or just for the existing
No,
buildings we have now?
it's a variety of buildings. There might be 5 chairs at Clough, 2 desks, 5 trapezoid tables at the high school, that kind of thing. When I asked for the summer projects, most of it was furniture orders, and it's a lot. So in order to facilitate that, we're gonna bundle everything. But it's not for any one particular building.
Okay, thank you.
And the other thing is about the furniture, it was bought knowing that it can be moved. New buildings, it's gonna be new furniture, obviously, but it's very functional. Rather than student desks, some are gonna be on tables, on casters. They're easy for a science teacher, art teacher to use.
I guess the difference is we're not starting like room by room replacing furniture. These are just
Individual,
key little
sporadic
areas that,
needs.
yeah.
Office furniture, desks that have fallen apart or drawers won't open. So one other aspect of buying the furniture like we did, we were able to get severe or significant discounts on some furniture, because it really, sometimes the color doesn't matter a lot as long as it's functional. So we got some discounts on furniture that was already in there.
Did you buy us ugly furniture, Chuck? Is that what your way of telling us?
Often
it's
I
ugly?
said, I don't care what color you got,
Okay.
just send it to us.
Just checking.
So hopefully the teachers will like it, right? Any questions?
Did you put out bids for these furniture that you're getting? Or how did you
We
obtain
had,
this furniture?
yes, ma'am. We have 3 furniture companies that we deal with, and the furniture company that we went with, the advantage to going with them, they are in an educational co-op, so we get it at state bid prices, which is a big savings.
Okay, but you didn't share that with the board, correct?
Pardon?
You didn't share the bids with the board, correct?
No, there were no bids, there were just
They were
quotes on
quotes.
furniture. There were no, like if the high school needed 5 desks, I got a quote for 5 desks from 3 different companies.
Okay.
Okay, but there were no public bids because the cost of the furniture didn't dictate that. That's the total package.
Yeah, bids are just for a certain like dollar amount.
It'd be
This was
different if
under
you were
that.
replacing an HVAC
Correct.
or a chiller or something.
It didn't approach the threshold of
Yes.
$70,000 where you should get a public bid at all.
Okay, that's what I was wanting to
Yeah,
find
no,
out.
it didn't even come
Okay.
close.
Thank you. I just wanted clarification.
Yeah, that's good. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the statement of facts. This is just to remind everybody that the statement of facts are available on our website. When you click on that, on the bond information page, it's chock full of information. There's videos, FAQs, one-pagers that answer pretty much anything about the bond project that is on the ballot for for May 6th. I will note today on the front of our website, it says the deadline to register to vote for the May 6th primary or special election is April 7th. And early voting begins April 8th and runs through May 4th. So that's timely information considering today is April 7th. And we have been, every week if we get info at West Clare questions, we incorporate them in as needed. And we just really aren't getting a lot of questions right now. So I don't know if the information is just suitable and is working for everybody, or if we'll start getting flooded here over the next couple of weeks since we're getting closer to May. I'm not sure, but we'll continue to evaluate those questions that come in, and as we answer them, if we think it's something that's really like not a very specific question, but something that more people might want to know, we'll incorporate that into our website, so it's shareable and findable by anybody. So, do you have anything else you would add?
No, but it looked like I had a timer on you, so sorry about that.
Oh.
That wasn't-
Is it? Okay, I didn't know.
We'll put that on
You
the
can
next, we'll put that on the next section.
Yeah, you can tell I just ignore timers.
I already have a timer. I have several timers out there.
I've been invited by most of the PTOs, if not all of them. Some of them we've already done, but to visit them over the course of the next couple weeks. So I'll be visiting our PTOs. I have superintendent articulation meetings coming up with the staff So a lot of April will just be getting more and more time to interact with people, answer questions, and if anybody else wants to invite us out, if there's groups of people that have questions and want to sit down with coffee, soda, whatever, we're happy to provide that information for people as needed. There's times on my calendar available for that, as well as Mr. Romano's. We don't have any town halls. We finished those for the year. So that will just be something to look forward to for next year. And we will be, in the next week or so, be sending our West Clermont Connect Us community newsletter. So it will be our third one for this school year to just continue to educate. It's a focus on state of the schools and our financial update as always. So that's all I have. Do you guys have questions for me?
Thank you, Ms. Adams. Looks like we're going on to treasurer's business. Start the timer.
Yes. That was good. That was really good.
Okay, advocacy update? Okay, so I'll pass these down there. Passed on there to that. So what I want to briefly do, because I know I'm being timed with it, but it really is important. The board's aware, administration's aware, people are aware that House Bill 96 was the governor's biennium budget, was the original proposal that was out there. We discussed that at a couple of our board meetings. It was pretty enlightening for the superintendent, myself, Ms. Sanborn, and Mrs. Spencer to go down to Columbus on legislative day with other educators and talk to our area legislators. We did meet with Dr. Johnson, Senator Johnson, Representative Byrd, and Representative Schmidt. And I was glad that when the substitute House Bill 96 bill came out, that it seemed we were listened to and actually responded to. So what I just want to go over tonight is substitute House Bill 96 and really just focus on a couple points that really impact West Clermont Schools' finances. So we'll give that update. It's really about the revenue impact. There's another provision that was added in there, which is about a cash balance restriction, and then really talk about what is our message back to our area representatives and then also to other representatives. It's important now as the substitute House bill goes through and then things go over to the Senate side, and the Senate starts their version in response to that, and from there it can go to conference committee, I believe it goes on. So as you know, when the bills are put forward, and likewise with the substitute House Bill 96, there's different simulations that are run. And it was pleasing to see that with the substitute bill, where in the prior House Bill 96, we stood to lose because there was the guarantee from the state funding that this district has been on for years, except for 1 year. It was going to be reduced. And so as that guarantee gets reduced, we lose money. And in this simulation and the provisions that were put in place, we actually get a little bit of a tick up. Our request to our area representatives and to others is that we keep the guarantees in place. In other words, we are held harmless of any loss of revenue. So in this simulation, where in the comparison from House Bill 96, we stood to lose almost $2.1 million. In the substitute bill, we stand to gain $220,000. So there's basically a swing of almost $2.3 million with the House Bill 96 to the substitute. So again, very appreciative to our local legislators, our representatives in putting that provision in there. There is, however, one other provision that was put in place, and there's some complexity around it of who it does impact and who it doesn't impact. But in short, that provision is if the cash balances of a school district at the end of the year are greater than 25% of the total expenses of the prior year, then the county auditor could reduce the taxes to bring that cash balance down in the ensuing years to 25%. The problem with that language is, and I don't know if I'm not going to try and interpret or read into why that was put in place, but I know there's been discussions over the past several years that school districts have been increasing their cash balance. Actually, I think it was about 7 or 8 years ago, I wrote an article as to why those balances were increasing, and part of the reason why is because school districts were being a little bit more prudent, more conscious, basically because of their 5-year forecast and what lie ahead of them. But there were several reasons, that was put in place. One of the other things is, people were trying to figure out where did the 25% come from. And there was a white paper put out by one of the associations that said that school districts should keep at least a 90-day cash balance on hand. Well, that 90 days, take 90 divided by 365 calendar days is 25%, plus or minus, right? And so we think that's how the 25% got there, but nobody's really sure how that got there. But that 25% in the white paper was a trigger point. It basically said that's the minimum. If you start falling below that 25%, you need to be concerned because you're headed towards fiscal distress. Okay, it wasn't the maximum, it was really a minimum. So we don't know if that was misinterpreted or not either. But then if we really go specifically to West Clermont and where are we at within that provision to do it? So one of the things that I was glad to see that in all of our presentations with our 5-year forecast, we went back and started to talk about it. I'm actually going to advance to that slide. We started talking about cash balance is really a function of stair-step revenues placed against an inflationary expense line. And so we gain revenues really, in very minimal ways. One is the state gives us more money, which that hasn't happened since I don't know when. I know we're still operating off a 2019 funding level. The other way is if it passes a levy, which we did in 2020. The third way is if there is growth in either property values or new construction, okay? And in this district, because we're at the 20 mil floor, when the valuation increases, we do get an increase, okay? And we fully recognize that, we fully admit it, and we let people know. That happened twice in the 5 years I was here. It happened in 2020, there was a valuation increase at the triennial, and at the 23 reappraisal of the sexennial for collection in 24, that is when there was that significant increase. That is when we basically put a stake in the ground that said, hey, we can now advance from going back to voters in 24, which we said in 2020 with that levy. We can advance that to at least 26, and we'll work harder going forward. So I put this chart back up, and that came from our 5-year forecast presentation. But that similar chart was also, it was in November, it was also in May of 24, it was also in the prior one, and it really talked about why do we increase in cash balance and why does that cash balance eventually get depleted as we move forward. So the provision that was added to substitute House Bill 96, it went in, and actually the simulations that were provided actually listed out what our cash balance was, as well as 600 and some other school districts in the state. And it basically said what percent are we over or under that 25% level. So what would we need to reduce? What I want to show is if we look at and go back to our November 5-year forecast, and we're pretty much on track with that forecast as we go forward. Never going to be exact or perfect, but it's a pretty good prediction of the future of where we're going with the information that we have on hand. And these are the numbers from our forecast. The cash balances grow from, a minimum in 2022 of about $12 million. We still get the levy collection. We still had the valuation increase. In 24, we had 6 months of an increase. 25, we had the full year of the 24 collection of that, and then what happens, right? Revenue stair steps, inflationary expense line, the cash balance or difference between revenue received, expenses made, okay? It goes from a surplus to a deficit, our cash balances start going down, okay? If we had to reduce our revenue, okay, two things happen, okay? A, we have to question our ability to move a levy from 26 to 27 is severely hampered, number one. Number two is, if we have to reduce our cash balance or we receive less revenue because the taxes are reduced because of that, do we have to come back with a higher millage rate to make up for that? So they reduced the tax rate, now are we going to be asking for more because we're looking out into the future to do it? I have a third concern that I have to sign, along with the superintendent, along with the board president, we have to sign our fiscal certificates if a contract goes out more than 1 year, okay? To do that, what is that ability if we have to sign something that we have a contract for 3 years? It diminishes the ability to do those. We'd have to do it for a shorter period of time. It really, the provision really didn't look at how schools are funded. So they're funded at a point where we stair-step our revenues against an inflationary expenditure line to do that, okay? That's what this chart shows. You know, as Mr. Patton identified, I think it's the first year here, the true days of cash balance on hand, okay? Somewhere between 60 and 90 days is what we really shoot for to get, okay? We can attain that when we have those surpluses, but again, when that cash balance goes down, our ability to keep a number of days of cash balance on hand, that starts to erode away to do that. So our, I guess, message again, as we do some advocacy following substitute House Bill 96, is we're pleased that we were responded to about holding the revenue line, that we don't have a loss in revenue, that those are secured, that was accomplished. We want that to stay, not only here, but even on the Senate side. And then two, I guess a request to remove that 25% cash balance restriction, because that would significantly hamper our ability to really plan for more than 1 or 2 years into the future. Okay? It really restricts that. If the intent of that was really to look at taxpayer relief, I think the request is take that out of here, go back to the study, go back on property tax reform, go back to different bills that are out there for different applications, and focus on those. Not too sure if it really needs to be in a biennium bill that's really focused on state funding, that provision be added to that. Okay. So I don't know what the time clock in the audience there for the front row says to me, but I want to make sure everybody understands that the second one. A, the appreciation that we went and spoke and they did respond to it. I know some of the board talked to some of the legislators too even after that, and you know, we're very happy that they listened to that. And then secondly, if there's a future message we need to give is on that 25% restriction. We really respectfully request that be removed.
So I sent that message today, a thank you plus our advocacy points to both Gene Schmidt and Adam Byrd as well. I sent it to Senator Johnson too, just as a heads up, as it moves over to the Senate. So.
Any questions I can answer on that or give information to? So we got to keep our foot on the gas pedal.
We have another point in here is that it seems in this latest rendition of House Bill 96 that they're working to focus on school funding at the same time provide taxpayer relief, which we're all for. We want to have taxpayer relief. The problem is how it counteracts it. And so doing this 25% cash balance, all it does is going to cause us to come right back to our people more often and probably for higher amounts. And so because the state portion just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. It was about 50-50 when I first came to West Clermont, and it's continued to, the local has continued to have to grow. And so that seems to be the part that we're missing. So we're asking them to fund Ohio students first, then work on property tax reform that doesn't undermine the formula.
If I can add one more thing, typically when we, there's some intent behind this, right? Okay, they're not just putting it out there for that. One of the things that we thought of from our district is that there's already mechanisms in place if cash balances are getting too high. So the 5-year forecast is done twice a year by every school district. It's required to be filed with the Department of Education, and then from the Department of Education, it is also reviewed by the state auditor's office. There are metrics that are looked at. There's indicators that are looked at. Primarily, they are there for fiscal distress. So if someone's cash balance is getting too low, the State Department of Ed, the Auditor of State's office is going to ask us to, hey, what's your plan so you don't get to zero or go negative, okay, to do that. That same mechanism can be used if cash balances are getting too high. The same indicators, the same metrics can be used. So there's already a format in place, a mechanism in place to review high cash balances. State Department of Education, the auditor's office can send a letter to that school district, the same vein if it's sent, if it had a low cash balance, say, what do you plan to do with the excess cash that you have on hand? How do you plan to utilize that in the future so it doesn't keep accumulating? So our belief is that measures are already in place to control excessive cash balances if that's what that's what it's perceived to be. And it's really what's the intention to use those balances for. We already know through our plan, right, how it's being used. We know that expenses rise, and we just have enough cash balance 2, 3, 4 years up the road to cover that. So we don't want to just say take it out and we not offer solutions. I think the solution's already in place.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, thank you.
Do you have any further comments or anything, Dan?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on to board comments. I'll start with Mrs. Spencer.
Well, I enjoy the kids. I think that's great to see them work hard and come up with their own question that really is something very relatable, something that they are going to have to work with in the future about the testing and the AI. I think that's amazing, and the teacher has enough leadway and she has autonomy to do that in her classroom, to encourage the kids to answer questions like that and then to present it to moving forward. And I think it's amazing, and it looks good for everybody, the parents, the staff, all of us. It makes the district look really good, and that we are moving forward and working with the kids and stuff, and encouraging them to critically think on stuff that they're going to have to deal with, but I do appreciate that, and I appreciate everybody's work getting it, and Dan doing we did enjoy our time up there. I learned a lot. I was in awe of Columbus and the Capitol building and the whole thing, and I think it's very, very intriguing to watch people work and do that kind of thing, and be willing to listen to what we had to say, and then kind of went back and tried to help some of the problems that we were having. So I enjoyed it, and I appreciate the opportunity to go up there.
Thank you. Ms. Danforth?
I had the opportunity to go to the Howl at the Moon. We went with Mr. Patton, Mrs. Spencer, Ms. Soupy, and Mr. and Mrs. Priest and me. I had a great time. Missed the superintendent and the treasurer. Mr. Collins, he can sell anything. If he can sell 2 signs for over $1,000, he sold 2 parking spots for over $1,000, and Mrs. Spencer almost bought one. So, but that was we had a wonderful time, and I hope you made a lot of money for the school district and for the athletic department. The next thing I got to go to was the state legislative conference, and it started out the morning with Howard Lefter from the Ohio Education Policy Institute. He really delved into House Bill 920, Senate Bill 271, and House Bill 96, and there were some other House bills that he also talked about. So those are the 3 House bills and a Senate bill that we really need to keep an eye on and see where it's going as far as moving forward. I see that there's more legislation regarding property taxes and the possibility of vouchers for charter schools and homeschooling, and so that's kind of concerning as well. So, but I'll keep an eye on all that and see where that leads. After lunch, we met with Representative Senator Snyder. He really listened to what Mr. Romano and Ms. Adams said. I really think that he understood fair school funding, and he understood our school district and the advocacy that we presented to him. He really, you could tell that his wheels were turning, and he was really listening to what was being said, and he really wanted to be engaged and wanted to know more. The next person we went and saw was Representative Adam Byrd. He said, "You don't have to talk to me. I already know all about it." He's the former superintendent of the New Richmond Exempted School District, and he told us we needed to go to other representatives and senators and talk to them. And so I hope that Ms. Adams and Mr. Romano have an opportunity to do that, so that we have a lot of people at stake and a lot of stakeholders that looking not just at their school district, but also West Clermont School District. We met with Representative Jean Schmidt, and I could tell when Ms. Adams started talking to her, I thought to myself, because I'm sitting across from her, she really doesn't understand fair school funding. She doesn't understand what we're trying to do and advocate for. And so I really thought about that for a while, and then something amazing happened. I had an event at the Oasis Golf Center over the weekend with Vivek Ramaswamy, and she was there along with Senator Snyder and Adam Byrd, and they all were there. Pardon me, they were all there. And when I got ready to leave, she's like, "Hey, Tina, I want to talk to you." So I went and talked to her, and then Senator Johnson came up. And he goes, "Tina," he goes, "I'm glad you came to my office." He goes, "You know you can talk when you come to my office." And I said, "Well," I thought it was more important that Mr. Romano and Mrs. Adams talk to you versus me talking to you." He said, "But I like to hear from board members as well." He said, "So the next time, if you get an opportunity to come and see me," he goes, "you're more than welcome to speak." I said, "Okay, thank you." And then Mrs. Schmidt, she really didn't say anything, but I could tell she was thinking. And so, being the good board member that I am, I just picked up my phone on Saturday and I called her and I said, "Is there anything that I can offer you or help you to understand the West Clermont School District and our fair school funding and advocate for my school district? Is there anything that you need from me that I can get from Mr. Romano or Ms. Adams?" She says, "No, I have everything I need." She goes, "Funny thing, Tina," she goes, "Representative Byrd came to my office with another representative, and they went detail, line by line, the fair school funding, and they went detail about West Clermont, and they even had the website up showing our 5-year forecast." And she said, "I really understood exactly what West Clermont is going through." And she said, "Now I understand education more than I ever have since I've been up here in Columbus." So I thought that was kudos that I got an opportunity to reach out to her, but kudos that she was willing to listen to Representative Byrd and the other colleague that came to her office to speak and talk to her so that she would understand what she was going to be voting for in the near future. So thanks, and I'll stop at that.
I usually don't interrupt, but I'm going to ask, do either of you want to give an update on the committees that we had earlier today, since we haven't had committee meetings in a while? And anything you want to share about that?
Sure. I had an opportunity to meet with Mr. Gephardt on policy. I thought that the booklet I didn't understand it at first. I didn't know what kind of booklet. I thought, well, is this a district booklet? And he's like, "No, it's for like new board members." I'm like, "Great. I wish I would have had this booklet when I first became a board member," because I had all kinds of questions about the school district and just in general, you know. And I really like the booklet. I hope that we continue to use it for years to come, and anyone that, you know, becomes a new board member will have a ready, handy opportunity to look at it and read it and ask questions, and once they've read it, if they don't understand. So I really appreciate all the time that he's put into seeing this through. I know it's a lot of time around his physical therapy.
Yeah, I think West Clermont Board will benefit from having this board booklet for any new member, because I'm new, I'm still new, this is my second year, but just questions that I just didn't know who to ask and how to go about it. And it's very informative, and it gives you like the organizational chart and how to find, if you don't know how to find it, and how even how our meetings are ran, and who does what during the meetings, and why they do that, and that kind of thing. So the booklet, I think, is going to be very helpful and be very informative. Of course, it'll have to be updated, but I think it's going to be kind of like a living article, and it will just keep moving and getting better and better every year we use it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Mr. Chumley?
I hope everyone had a more relaxed spring break than I had. I really appreciate Ms. Hufford. It's one thing to get like the students on board and engaged, and for them to love and respect you like she obviously had, but to see the parents as involved as they were, that's something special, I think. And she has a gift, it seems, and I'm glad that she's blessing our district with that gift. And it's just awesome to see that. Wish we could do that every week. And I want to thank our advocates for going to Columbus and speaking on behalf of us. It's really cool to see that have a positive effect. You don't see it at times, so it's really cool when it happens. So thank you, guys. That's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Chumley. Mr. Rudy?
I was excited to meet the big kids today because Mrs. Hufford's been telling me about them for months. I think it's wonderful. And a lot of people probably don't know this was a career change for her. And she's a little bit older. I can say that because she and I are good friends. But to adapt to what she has done is phenomenal. There's not a word to describe it. Just like the work of the kids. And I would also like to thank you two for making the bills easier to understand. For once, I really understand it now. So thank you very much.
Do either of you have a committee update from tonight? Is there anything to share? I just don't want to forget that since we don't normally have the committees. Anything?
Boring numbers.
Boring numbers, okay. All right. We'll work on entertaining numbers next time.
I prefer the boring ones.
I did not have a policy or a meeting tonight, so I was, yes, I also kind of, since I always go last, I kind of echo what everybody else has already said. I do appreciate the presentation tonight with the eighth graders. I think they did a great job, and again, it just shows really what West Clermont is doing and how we're trying to move in the correct direction. I also want to piggyback what Mr. Chumley said as far as I appreciate you two going up to Columbus and representing the school board. I truly appreciate that. I appreciate you two going up and also representing the district. And it does sound like it has not fallen on deaf ears, so that's very important. I always tend to forget to broadcast, but our next board meeting is, looks like April the 21st at 7 p.m. here at the Civic Center. So again, that's April 21st here at the Civic Center. And again, as always, I appreciate everyone that showed up. I appreciate any guests that we have coming and speakers. And so I think the involvement in our district I appreciate. So it does, with that being said, it does look like we do have a reason to go into executive session for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee, and to consider the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or student. I will put that out in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Chumley. Is there any discussion on that? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
5 yes.
There will be nothing that we need to vote on. There will be nothing that we will be coming back out of once we're done with the executive session. Thank you, guys.